Welcome back to Alpha to Omega. Today we'll be talking about meaning, and I think it's going to be a good one. So let's get right into it. What is meaning? As we talked about in our last video, meaning is the comprehensible aspect to all things in the universe. It doesn't really matter whether those things are big or small. For example, for the past 2 years we've been dealing with a virus, something that even the eye can't perceive, and yet it has informed how the world conducts its affairs, what we do in our own personal lives, and the actions and the thoughts we have about it, and what resources we put forth to addressing it. It can be as big as something as Russia's recent invasion of Ukraine, in that people living beyond those borders, living thousands of miles away, can have a reaction towards it by the images that they see, such that they may want to do something about it, or that they may feel something, because, as we talked about, all things are meaningful. Where is meaning? The answer to that question is that meaning is nowhere, and yet it's everywhere. And just hear me out on that for a second. It's nowhere because it's fundamentally intangible. No one can take you someplace and show you, hey, this is meaning, and let me hand it over to you. It's not possible because it's not material in reality. It's something immaterial. It's our perception, or to put it more precisely, the human perception of the world. And yet it is everywhere though, because anything fundamentally that can be understood by human consciousness is meaningful. Whether we attribute to it anything of significance is another matter, and how we react to it subjectively is also a different matter. Yet, human beings can comprehend all things around us. As I posed in the last video, am I simply projecting meaning onto the outside world? And the simple example I gave was that if you took me away, well then you and I wouldn't be having a conversation and you wouldn't be watching this video. In other words, something needs to be present for us to comprehend it. And there's a distinction between that and what we do with it. So for example, if it's raining outside, somebody may say, well, I don't want to get wet, so I'm going to take an umbrella. And somebody else may say, I don't really care if I get wet or not. The reason for that is because all things are fundamentally built on the same building block. Things are all particles, really, and everything is just simply an amalgamation or a collection of particles. Whether it's a virus or whether it's the sun, they're essentially one and the same. And it doesn't really matter how big or small that thing is. From the micro to the macro, everything is essentially constituted of matter. But how that collection is organized, it determines the way in which we perceive it. For example, the sun and the moon are both collections of matter, and yet we all have individual and different and distinct reactions to the sun than to the moon. Because when the sun is out, we all generally know it's daytime. And when the moon is out, we all know it's nighttime. The world as a book. So if we took what we just said, in that meaning is fundamentally immaterial, and that all things are constituted of matter, which is material, and meaning, which is immaterial, is tied to the material object, then we can draw an analogy between that perspective of the world and a book. So for example, let's say you can imagine I have a book right in front of me and I open it up. What do I see on that page? I see ink arranged in such a way in which there are letters and words formed into sentences and paragraphs and chapters such that I can comprehend what the author is trying to tell me through those words. Likewise, if we think about the world out there, let's say the sun or the moon or the stars, or something as small as a virus, we can think about those things as being constituted of letters, specifically particles of letters, to form the object as a word. So the sun is made up of individual atoms and molecules and parts and pieces, such that it forms the word that we call the sun. Likewise the moon, likewise the stars, likewise the mountains and the trees and the oceans and the rivers and the streams and the soil and all the animals that inhabit the earth and all sort of beings that we can interact with. They're all letters formed into words. And in an interesting way, their interaction and the environment and the way in which things are carried out and the order in which things operate are like sentences and paragraphs on a page, and we can think about the whole universe as a page in a book. And every moment, a new page is being turned because we're presented with a new universe. No two moments are alike. No two moments are perceived the same way. And no two moments mean exactly the same thing. So in a sense, we're just reading the universe. That's what human beings do. That is what our fundamental capability is that human beings are conscious individuals that can comprehend and understand the meaningful aspect of all things around them. And first and foremost, themselves. So what? So what does it all mean? Really, what does it even mean to mean? And what does it mean to comprehend what things mean? I mean, how does it really affect our day-to-day life? We go about doing the things we do, saying the things we say, thinking the things we think, feeling the things we feel. That's great, things mean something. But we can always ask the question, how does it affect or change my way I view the world? Or what do I do with the way I'm living? The answer to that question is first stepping back and asking, how is it even possible that I can comprehend things? And not just comprehend things, understand the vastness and the expanse of the universe, such that it makes me think and feel a certain way. Me, as an apparent material object, understanding other material objects. For what purpose is it? And how is that even happening to begin with? How is it that the world is like a meaningful book? Who or what is writing it in such a way that you and me can make sense of it from our own individual perspectives? Tiny, apparently insignificant objects in the grand scheme of the cosmos. How? And beyond how, to what ends and for what purpose? Because what does it mean that I don't want to be infected by something? And what does it mean that I feel the pain and suffering of individuals that I've never met? What does it signify about who I am and what I'm doing in this world and what I'm supposed to be doing? Why am I reading, whether I'm aware of it or not, anything and everything? And how and why is it impacting me? And what do I do with it? I think I'll leave you guys all with that to think about. And I'll see you guys next time.